Hi, friends. Thank you for taking time out of your week to spend a little with me. I appreciate you. This week, I wanted to share the case of the Lethal Lovers, two women who turned murder into a strange love game. So, I ask you all to join me as we remember Marguerite Chambers, Edith Cook, May Mason, Myrtle Luce, and Belle Burkhard. Catherine May Wood was born on March 7, 1962, in Soap Lake, Washington. Catherine grew up in Comstock, Michigan, where she met Ken Wood, her future husband. Ken and Catherine tied the knot and welcomed their only child in 1980, a daughter they named Jackie. During their marriage, Catherine found work at the Alpine Manor nursing home in Walker, Michigan. After several years, the relationship between Ken and Catherine became strained, so the two filed for divorce. Catherine quickly rose through the ranks at the nursing home. She was known as a reliable, hardworking employee and was given a position in a supervisory role. It was during this time that she met Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn Graham, better known as Gwen, was born on August 6, 1963 in California. Gwen grew up in Texas and lived there until 1986 when she decided she needed a change. Gwen moved to Michigan in 1986, where she found employment as a nurse's aide at the Alpine Manor nursing home. Catherine was her supervisor. At first, the two became close friends, with Catherine confiding in her friend due to her recent divorce. But the more time the women spent together, the more they realized this wasn't just a friendship. Soon after meeting, Gwen and Catherine struck up a romantic relationship, and according to coworkers, it was fast and heavy. The two were passionate about each other, but also presented a very volatile relationship filled with both pranks and jealousy. One of these pranks included hiding under residents' beds and grabbing the nurse aides by their ankles as they walked by. They were very odd together, according to peers. In addition to the pranks, the two were very jealous, with Gwen reportedly being possessive. Their relationship was a very love-hate situation. At one point, the duo got into a big fight that Gwen pulled Kathy into a room by her hair. From the outside looking in, no one could quite understand why Gwen and Kathy chose to be together. But, behind the scenes, something much more sinister was brewing. As it turned out, Gwen and Catherine weren't just intense for the public, but also behind closed doors. Allegedly, it was Gwen who suggested the game first, but some sources say Catherine was the mastermind. In Catherine's own words, the duo participated in many intense sexual acts, such as asphyxia, to make their encounters more heightened. But when they all started to lose their luster, another idea was proposed. According to Kathy, the game was Gwen's idea. They'd pick a victim from the nursing home by the first letter of their first name. The couple would continue to choose their victims until they spelled the word murder. When a resident died or was discharged from Alpine Manor, their name was written in a log. The couple planned to use the log as a record. With a plan in place, the game began. Their first victim was Marguerite Chambers. Marguerite became a resident of the Alpine Manor in July of 1985. Marguerite was only 58 years old when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Her diagnosis resulted in her needing full-time care, which led her family to make the difficult decision to admit her to the facility, believing this was the best option to help Marguerite in her final years. However, shortly after her arrival, her family noticed that the caretakers at Alpine Manor were not nurturing. During her visits with her mother, Jen realized that Marguerite was not only dirty, but very frail and seemed to fear the staff around her. When Jen asked for answers about why her mother was so upset or unkept, they had no answers. Her family was assured things would get better, so they decided to trust the facility. Marguerite passed away suddenly in January of 1987, less than 2 years after she was admitted to the facility. Her family wouldn't know the true cause of her death until the fall of 1988. Marguerite represented the M, but after her murder, the duo quickly abandoned their game in favor of easy victims who couldn't or wouldn't fight back. They realized the game would be too difficult, so instead they would count each murder as a day in the phrase, "I will love you forever and a day." According to reports, the murder of Marguerite was committed by Gwen while Kathy served as the lookout. Gwen entered Marguerite's room and attempted to smother her. She explained to Kathy she used a washcloth underneath her chin to hold it up, then pinched her nose with her free hand. Gwen left Marguerite's room thinking she had passed, but when she returned an hour later, she found Marguerite was still alive. So, days later, Gwen tried again, this time ending Marguerite's life. Marguerite's death appeared to be of natural causes, so an autopsy was not performed. While everyone assumed it was just another day at the nursing home, Kathy and Gwen were on a high. They'd gotten away with murder. Marguerite was just the beginning, and the relationship between the couple seemed to intensify. With a secret as heavy as murder, each woman felt it would prevent the other from leaving, cementing their bond. For several months, Gwen and Kathy picked several victims that met the criteria. The victims were diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia and aged between 60 and 98 years old. In addition to Marguerite, the couple claimed the lives of Mae Mason, 79, Edith Cook, 98, Myrtle Luce, 95, and Bill Burkhardt, 74. Gwen and Kathy openly talked about their murders and even bragged to colleagues who thought it was just another one of their cruel pranks. No one took the women seriously. The bragging continued until April of 1987, when the duo suddenly split ways. Allegedly, Gwen challenged Kathy to prove her love for her by murdering someone else. When Kathy refused her request, Gwen broke up with her. Gwen ultimately decided to leave Michigan and return to Texas, where she settled in Tyler, finding work in a neonatal ward at a hospital. Kathy was reportedly distraught over the breakup, even turning to her ex-husband. Shortly after Gwen's departure, Kathy reached out to Ken and confessed she was involved in a handful of murders. Ken held the truth for nearly 2 years. On October 7, 1988, Ken Wood arrived at the Walker Police Department to report Kathy and Gwen's crimes. Initially, he admitted he wasn't sure if Kathy was being truthful, but due to the fear of more lives being taken, he decided to come clean. Police started the investigation into the 5 alleged murders by reaching out to the administration of Alpine Manor. The administration reported that nothing unusual was occurring at the nursing home, and was confused on why Kathy was considered a suspect. According to her managers, Kathy was a great employee and person. Other employees were interviewed as well, where details of Kathy's relationship and strange comments came to light. While there was no evidence to tie Kathy to the murders, the Alpine Manor relieved Kathy of her duties while the investigation was ongoing. Kathy was questioned about the murders, where she initially denied confessing to Ken. She stated she would never hurt the residents. Kathy was questioned extensively by the Walker police detectives, where she continued to distance herself from having any involvement in the crime. But days later, her tune changed. Kathy called the Walker Police Department and stated it was time she told the truth. During her final interview, Kathy admitted to the murders committed by Gwen, but she claimed she played a part as well. She confessed that while Gwen was suffocating each of their victims, she served as lookout. Allegedly, Kathy stated the mastermind behind the murder game was Gwen. Every time the couple claimed a new victim, Kathy explained to the police it would be euphoric. When the women returned home, they would have sex. Kathy believed the murders were a rush and sort of release for Gwen. She claimed Gwen kept souvenirs from the victims as mementos of what they'd done together. When asked why they'd want to commit such heinous acts, Kathy could only give one reason. They did it so they would have something to bind them together forever. After interviewing Kathy, the police flew to Texas to interview Gwen. Gwen was shocked by the allegations, arguing Kathy made up the rumors because of their breakup. Gwen agreed to a search where they discovered no souvenirs that Kathy claimed to be in her possession. Since police had no evidence against her, Gwen could not be arrested. Authorities took the timeline provided by Kathy and looked into the 5 deaths that happened for that period of time. In order to secure an arrest of either party, the police needed physical evidence, so they turned their attention to the bodies. They settled on 5 potential victims, with only 2 of the 5 victims being exhumed due to the remainder being cremated. In December of 1988, Marguerite Chambers and Edith Cook were exhumed. The medical examination of the remains failed to reveal any physical evidence of suffocation. Despite the lack of evidence, the county medical examiner ruled the deaths as a homicide rather than natural causes, based on the interviews given by Kathy. With this new update to their files, police were able to charge both Kathy Wood and Gwen Graham officially with 2 counts of murder. On December 4th and December 5th of 1988, Kathy and Gwen were arrested. Prosecution knew the battle to secure a sentence was going to be a tough one, so they turned their attention to Kathy. Since Kathy claimed she wasn't responsible for the murders and was more than willing to be open with them, they asked her to testify against Gwen in exchange for a lesser sentence. Kathy agreed with their terms. She was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder. Kathy received a sentence of 20 to 40 years in prison. Gwen, on the other hand, maintained her innocence even throughout her trial. During her trial, Gwen alleged that the murders were part of an elaborate mind game by Kathy. Her defense team introduced a poem by Kathy to Gwen about their relationship, which concluded with the phrase, "You'll be mine forever and 5 days." The 5 days represented their 5 victims. Gwen was also depicted as sexually, physically, and emotionally dominant in their relationship. Despite the lack of physical evidence, the jury ultimately was swayed by the testimony of Gwen's current girlfriend Heather, who revealed Gwen confessed to her that she had murdered 5 people. On November 3, 1989, Gwen was found guilty of 5 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder. Gwen was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Gwen has continued to maintain her innocence. In 2019, during an interview, Gwen admitted that she felt Kathy was mad at her because she had left her and cheated on her. Gwen stated she didn't understand her actions would lead Kathy to do this. Gwen is currently housed in the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility in Pittsfield Charter Township, Michigan. After the trial concluded and both women were in prison, a book published in 1992 written by Lowell Koffel titled Forever in 5 Days documented a different picture of Kathy than the prosecution presented. According to friends and coworkers interviewed, Kathy was coercive and a pathological liar who delighted in wreaking havoc in others' lives. In the book, evidence presented shows that Kathy was the one who planned the first murder after she found Gwen with another woman. She allegedly involved Gwen as an insurance policy to keep her from ever leaving her. After Gwen left, Kathy was willing to put herself in jeopardy to get revenge on Gwen for leaving her. The book paints her as the mastermind who manipulated Gwen and the courts. Also in the book, the author presented 2 versions of events Kathy allegedly told other inmates. The first being that she made up the entire story to put Gwen away for life, while the second was she had done all the killing, but framed Gwen. Regardless of the information presented by the book, Kathy carried out her sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution in Tallahassee, Florida. She became eligible for parole in March of 2005. Despite being eligible, Kathy was denied parole 8 times before it was granted in October of 2019. The victims' families protested against her release, believing she would kill again. Despite this, though, Kathy was a free woman in January of 2020. Kathy moved to Fort Hill, South Carolina to live with her sister. Her parole stipulations barred her from working with children and vulnerable adults. Kathy's supervision ended in June of 2021. She keeps a low profile now due to the outrage from the community. After the truth about Gwen and Kathy, several families sued the owners of the Alpine Manor for hiring dangerous and unbalanced employees. The Alpine Manor went out of business. Currently, a new nursing home is in its place. Hi friends, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, so leave them below and we can chat about this case. If you found this to be informative, consider giving the video a thumbs up to let YouTube know you want more from me. And lastly, if you're not subscribed yet, we would love to have you under the ash tree. I made a community post last week and also some on my social medias about my annual Halloween special, where I take your stories and narrate them for your fellow viewers to hear. I wanted to thank everyone who has already reached out so far. I appreciate your time and your responses. I just wanted to make a quick mention of it in the video in case maybe you don't follow me on social media or maybe you didn't see the community post. I just wanted to extend the invite to anyone who wants to join in. You can just send me an email or a DM on Instagram or Facebook. Looking for true stories that fall in the realm of paranormal, close encounters, true crime, etc., etc. The usual topics we cover here on the channel. So if you're interested, reach out and I will give you a shout out in the video, or I can also post you anonymously if that's what you want. It's entirely up to you. I look forward to hearing from you all. But for now, the time has come and we must part ways. I hope you all have an amazing week ahead of you because you deserve it. Please stay safe out there, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends.